myself and my family had to struggle with malaria growing up a lot. It was one of the most common diseases that affected us as we were growing, because mosquito could bite you and then after 2 weeks you're down. As I was growing up, chloroquine was the main treatment. The pills were bitter.
So for when you when you contract malaria, you'll have to go through the treatment. It's like TB treatment.
Yeah, it
was that hectic?
Yeah, it was hectic because it gives you fever. The side effects were not as good as the general benefit. You know the benefits must outweigh the risk.
And the scientists collaborated.
Yeah, the scientists collaborated and came up with the artemisinin.
That is like an improved version of treatment.
An improved version of treatment. Overall, you get more benefit. It protects you from malaria better.
And people was like, why is there no cure? I don't know if that is the question.
I'll answer that because they are trying to develop a vaccine, but parasites behave totally different because you're dealing with something that starts outside of the human and then it continues. It's just a life cycle.
Welcome to another episode of the Breakthrough Clinical Trust Lounge with me, Nyeleti Bikimtombeni. I'm not alone today. I'm with Yonnie. Hello, Yonnie. Welcome.
Thank you, Vicky.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's been a good experience down here in South Africa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've enjoyed every piece of this.
You've been enjoying South Africa?
Yeah, I got here on Saturday.
On Saturday?
Morning, yeah.
Oh, okay. Tell our people, where do you come from and what brings you to South Africa?
So I'm Yonnie Otieno. I come from Kenya. I'm basically based here out of Nairobi. And I came down to South Africa for the first time to be part of the TCIS conference. That was our seventh conference.
Seventh conference, okay.
From this year. Yeah, we've been doing this for the last 5 years altogether, going to different destinations in Africa. And finally, we were very upbeat about South Africa.
Okay. What is this TCIS conference about?
Yeah, the TCIS is just basically the clinical investigator summit that is held annually. And it brings together the industry stakeholders in research, all the way from pharma companies, CRO, technology providers, university sites, government, associations across the medical industry and portfolio.
Wow.
So we bring these people together to actually shape up the opinion, at least shape the discussions around research, try to see how we can strengthen our approach to clinical trials.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the seventh chapter of it. So where does it originate from and how did you get to the seventh chapter? Maybe take us through the TCIS history.
Yeah, a bit of history here. The TCIS conference started in Nigeria in 2019, I think, during COVID, 2020, thereabout.
Oh, the first time was during COVID.
Yeah, during
COVID.
Very
interesting.
So it was a small meeting of
I think I was there as well. I actually presented from South Africa. I think that's how I also got to know about TCIS, actually, yeah.
Because you've been an opinion in research from the transcontinental, trans-African research scientist. You've been, so you could have been an opinion shaper in the first encounter. Yeah, so we did the first one. And then the second one was in Ghana, so I had a chance to be there.
Okay. I missed the Ghana one. Were you physically in Ghana?
Yeah, I was. I was there. It was equally a very meaningful encounter. And then the subsequent. I was actually tasked to figure out if I could make the Kenyan chapter work.
Okay, from Ghana and then to Kenya.
So from Kenya, we pushed it down to Kenya.
Okay.
And then at that point, I took up the task and I was very excited. So I decided we come to Mombasa.
Oh, yes. I was at Mombasa. Yeah. I was at Mombasa. It's beautiful country, Kenya. I really enjoyed my time there.
And it was our first time to meet.
It was that's when we met actually for the first time. Yeah.
So I really...
But the only thing that I didn't like about Mombasa, basically, the beach at the hotel, they told us to close at 6.
I know you were.
Or something.
I know you were.
And it was so hot. How can a beach close? I don't understand. But anyway,
for security reasons, they just want you to be safe. We don't want to lose a South African in Kenya to the waters. Because
now I understand.
Yeah, but you enjoyed our trip in Kenya. It was we had all the pre-conference activities that we lined up, historical encounters that you experience in the site visits.
We went to the Welcome Trust site in Ilifi.
Right.
Is it called
Kimri?
Cambry.
Yes.
That huge research center there. I was so impressed.
That has been huge with malaria research over the years.
Yeah. Also, they've been doing malaria research. Right. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get to that. I'm really interested in sharing with our audience what's been happening. Because in most cases so far, I've been communicating with people based in South Africa. So I'm so interested today to take our information beyond South Africa, because our channel is about Africa as a continent and research that we do in Africa. Then from Mombasa, and then
from Mombasa we went we went north, because now at least we had covered West Africa.
Okay.
And then we came down to East Africa. Now we decided to go to Egypt.
Egypt. Yeah. Okay.
So we were in Egypt, and we again shaped the research agenda there pretty nicely.
Wow.
But we make it also personal, so we give our delegates a chance to also experience the deep cultural engagement that they can experience at this time.
Okay. And then Egypt, I know you were, was it Senegal after?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next one was, now this one went far. Senegal is the farthest end of this other, and it's the farthest part of West Africa. So we went to Senegal just to make it an Afro-Franco arrangement, because we never had a chance to have the francophone speaking countries.
What do you mean? Because I think many people, remember our audience, it's coming from different regions. What do you mean Afro-Franco? Senegal. So, I know obviously Senegal, but I just want to understand that whole terminology there.
So Senegal is French speaking.
Okay.
And Africa has almost like 3 or 4 major. There's the Portuguese, there's the French, and the English, and then there's also part of Africa that speaks Spanish altogether. So this time around, but majority is English and French.
Okay.
So Franco-French speaking countries.
So you went to Egypt. Egypt is more Arabic.
Arabic and English. So
Arabic and English. Okay.
Language, Okay. So we gave them a chance. At least we interacted with their Arabic culture
and now you're in South Africa.
And now, finally,
you made it to South Africa.
We made it to South Africa.
So
it was big in South Africa, and it was just unbelievable, mind-blowing teams and delegates, exhibitors. The discussions were altogether exemplary, right?
I think this is one of those initiatives that shows the power of Africa when we unite. Yeah. And what is even more important here is that it is founded by one of our own, Rosiana, a young African from Nigeria. Yeah. And it's not like government funded or some big company funded, but has supports from one of the companies that you also work with, the Blue Clouds as an example. But what I know is that she also invested a lot of her personal resources to bring Africa together. And it's such a paramount moment, especially now with everything that has been happening. Especially now that you're saying you in South Africa. Tell me, you from Kenya, there were people from Nigeria, someone from Uganda, Zanzibar. Globally. Everyone was there. Africa. Did you experience any of this xenophobic activities that we are seeing on the social media?
No, it was pretty warm for me. I think I interacted with the culture closely because I saw a new diverse group of people that I've never met. I learned from their history. I know what drives them. I see them as a very successful country that can be the country that Africa look up to, because our shared history has a lot to be learned from. But again, we know that the strength that we have as Africans is that we can do great things together.
We can do great things.
Look at how we're able to put up those, invite people globally to come to this conference.
Yeah, we have people.
They braved all the other noise that is coming from the background, and then they still saw this as an opportunity, and they came from the UK,
from the US,
all the way from India.
Yeah,
we represented the global industry in medical research.
Yeah. I'm really glad that it happened at this particular point, and it shows the power of Africans coming together. We can do great things. we're at a time where there's been a lot of investment from many other countries or even the West into Africa. But now we're at a time where, as African, especially adults now, we're no longer youth. As adults, we can take on that. I wanted to say as the youth.
Oh, you're youth adults, right?
So we can take on the responsibility of bringing Africa together and being the voice, because there's lots of noise, especially on social media. And this is why we even created this channel. So that just to help you with our channel, it's all about informing, firstly, the community, meaning the whole of Africa, 54 countries. Did you know? 54 countries in Africa. We're the biggest, even if you look at the shape of our map. We're bigger than all these other areas. And we are obviously going to grow even bigger when it comes to the population. Our population by 2030, it said that it will take over, you know, the world. So what I mean here is that with this research that we do, we want to inform the community the importance of research, because there's been a lot of myths. There's been a lot of us as scientists working in our laboratory, working in our research space, but focusing on publications, writing articles that are so high level, but they're not communicating to the general public about what we do. So they end up making up things without being informed by us, So that's why we have this channel. That is the first target population for this channel. And the second target population is me and you having this dialogue as experts. We are the experts in this. And we want to showcase also the what we do, our capabilities, our potential, and our vision. And then we have the third group, which is the people that decide where should research go. So that they can say, we want to make sure Africa, in every research that we do, at least 5 countries are included from Africa in a particular research that they do. So on that note, let's start. I want to know, what are people saying about research in Kenya?
Yeah, research is welcomed in Kenya. I'll say most of the malaria clinical research was done. HIV clinical trial network was actually a hub in both South Africa and Kenya, if you remember, with the University of Washington and these other partner groups. And we accelerated research development on the early years of malaria research. And now these have actually come to the very cures that we use. The malaria cure that is presently on the market is a development of is contributed across African continent, not only Kenya, but has been contributed a number of countries
in Africa. Actually, I like this malaria research you're talking about, because it brings a different angle for us to assess and give input and inform people, different from some of these other conditions like HIV, which is man-to-man transmitted, TB. This is from a mosquito.
Malaria is from a mosquito.
You can't say the mosquito was infected by someone else. You understand? So let's think about this. So you're saying in Kenya, for example, there was a lot of research, which was a global partnership where countries, like you said, University of Washington, for example, which I think is based in Washington, D.C. as an example, was partnering with Research Institute in Africa. And they invested their resources to do research in malaria. Because I believe, who was funding those research? Was it Kenyan government or South African government?
No, basically it was none of the governments. They were just enabling the research. They were collaborating with either the Bill and Melinda Gates funded foundations who are funding pharma companies. Like the HIV clinical trial that is now being used as PrEP, that is now being rolled out for those who are getting the injection twice a year. The Gilead product that is being rolled out for those who are taking.
Let's try not mention them. Maybe they don't want to. We may say wrong things and then they come back and say, we heard it from this podcast. So we had I call it the JEP, the PrEP, which is a 2-year
injection.
Twice a year injection to prevent HIV transmission. So, but I want to stick to malaria.
So malaria, I'll tell you that malaria has been a huge success because we've been able to tame the maternal child mortalities from malaria, because malaria were affecting those who were under 5 years. I
come from 5 years.
Yeah, I come from the western part of Kenya, where because malaria has been a huge problem.
Okay.
I myself and my family had to struggle with malaria growing up a lot. It was one of the most common diseases that affected us as we were growing, because mosquito could bite you, and then after two weeks you're down. By then, chloroquine was the main. As I was growing up, chloroquine was the main treatment, but it wasn't the best because the side effects were
very bad.
Yeah, you could itch. It didn't give you peace. You could just. The tablets were many. You'd first take 4, 2. The pills were bitter.
So when you contract malaria, you'll have to go through the treatment. It's like TB treatment.
Yeah, it
was that hectic?
Yeah, it was hectic because it gives you fever. The side effects were not as good as the general the general benefit. You know the benefits must outweigh the risk.
So people then, the scientists collaborated.
Yeah, the scientists collaborated and came up with the artemisinin.
Okay, that is like an improved version of treatment.
An improved version of treatment that is basically it's more of sulfur-based, but it's more overall you get more benefit. It protects you from malaria better because malaria has 4 strains. You get these things, the 4 strains that most of that is what affects our population. Diagnosing malaria again is easy, but again you need to have the expertise because it needed a slide. But we nowadays can diagnose using a strip. Those are the innovations that has made.
That is so now we could study it and understand the differences between
we could study it. We could diagnose it faster, pick it up on a slide, not only a slide but a strip.
So we improve also how we diagnose it.
Yes.
Also, it's the treatment and it's also the diagnosis aspect of it. So now it's quicker when you start seeing the symptoms.
We can pick it much quicker. I don't have to have the technical knowledge to analyze the slide. I can just run the strip. And that has actually improved. Again, there were mosquito nets. There were a number of efforts.
Mosquito nets.
They were modeling these mosquitoes. How do we even get to engineer them to now?
And that is like in that research ecosystem.
Yeah, in that research. So within that research, there's an entomology part where you study the malaria as an insect, because it's an insect that causes disease. But again, you have to study how it's on the field. You have to study how it affects the parasitemia in the body.
Okay.
Yeah, how it affects the blood.
So
how do you tackle it?
That is just studying the malaria. You're not even now talking about any treatment. I like that element because people, when we talk about research, we usually think of using people as guinea pigs and stuff like that. But you're now breaking it down to the point where we also understanding the actual bug itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're understanding what's going on with the bug. And I'll reference also at the Ebola that I also did
Ebola,
about, because this is now an African conversation, right?
Yeah.
From malaria to another infectious disease was Ebola. Again, they had to study it all the way from the forest.
Yes.
Who are these transmitters? Who are the vectors? Are these the bats? Are these the monkeys, the reservoirs of EBV, the Ebola hemorrhagic fever? What are the types of strains that are there? How are they transmitting to humans? So One Health approach to it is also very interesting.
That is quite interesting. And now I believe that mortality rate, meaning that we have less people, I don't know what is it in Kenya now, dying of malaria.
Yeah, with that combined effort with mosquito nets, spraying homes, just to get rid of the transmission channels, and then having the treatment work, diagnostic tools.
Yes.
Those combination efforts really worked. So all the pregnant women were to be put on bed nets.
So now we're no longer using less than 5-year-old children to malaria.
It was affecting kids because very fast they can dehydrate, they can get fever, and they were dying. So Africa was the global south burden of malaria. Mortality.
So research, just how you're framing it, basically needs to align with the challenges that we face in the community. So people must understand that when we do research, it's more about looking at what are the challenges health-wise, firstly, in our community, so that we can come up with solutions. And people will like, why is there no cure? I don't know if that is the question.
I'll answer that because For malaria, exactly. I know you're very much interested about malaria. Malaria is a parasite, and getting a cure for a parasite is you cannot they are trying to develop a vaccine, but parasites behave totally different because you're dealing with something that starts outside of the human and then it continues. It's just a life cycle of it that continues and they get transmitted. And parasites sometimes are very difficult to work with. It goes all the way to the liver, goes into your bloodstream.
So it attacks everything.
It attacks everything. Your blood cells get the malaria parasites, and it's a whole thing there.
I explained that by saying that the body is very complicated. If you were to think about it, we have a cardiologist for the heart, a rheumatologist for rheumatoid diseases, a neurologist, oncologist, and even in oncology you have different kind of oncologists. Internal
medicine oncologists.
Kind of like
endocrinologists.
Just understand. If you can understand that, you will understand how complicated it is. And when the bug comes into the body, it can affect multiple systems. So understanding its root and its path when it gets to the body, that's the first a research process that happens.
Right.
So that we can be able to say, okay, inside the body, what does it do? And what do we find? The antagonist. I want to speak at a level
that everyone can understand.
Yes, antagonist. How do we find what works backwards towards whatever that it is pushing forward?
Yes, I get it.
Through science.
Yes.
So we're having this conversation because people in Africa think they are being used, when it comes to research, and we saw this especially during COVID. Where people got even more skeptical about treatment and research and all this. But this is an industry that brings in solutions, and that's why we need to have this conversation. But I'm not going to finish this. I want to know on the ground in Kenya, what do people say about research? Do they say, don't come here, don't use us? Like if you were to go into a community in Kenya now and say, I want to do research on diabetes, because I know that we have lots of experience in infectious diseases, but infectious disease, like you're giving example, malaria, the HIV, but then let's think diabetes. What will people say? Like a general person on the ground, not someone that doesn't know about research. How would you convince them they can
get involved?
Yeah,
it would take one an awareness, but the awareness would factor in so many things. The level of education will be a factor to how they will perceive whatever engagement you want to take. Do they trust you enough from a community perspective that they can believe what you want to do with them? They will have their own fears. That you have to address. And you have to be very patient with that. It doesn't have to be feel harassed or feel like they didn't have enough time to. Families consult internally. I can be making a decision on behalf of my family, but that decision has to be in acceptance with everyone in my family, including if my family has brothers, if my family has a wife. It all depends. Are there other opinion shapers in the family who can actually front that, that's a good thing that you need to do. So when you get to that point, then you have at least easy access. But again, they are resistant to those who don't know, because you're starting to educate them on things that they don't trust. So you're telling them that this is going to be beneficial, but one, it doesn't have the internal trust of himself, having seen this work. Again, you have to deal with any other perceptions that he's had before that could either be derailing that effort, because he could have his own perception that doesn't allow him to move forward. You want him to join, but it's like, I've seen these things affect people differently. I've been told, I've read, I've heard, I've listened to such a video. So there are things that meets the process that makes that difficult. The most interesting thing is that the digital space is opening up our imagination and our world.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you're going to talk to someone, you would basically find that they have an idea of what you're talking about. You're not talking from a no information perspective.
Okay.
If he doesn't trust you, he will go and search.
Oh, he will go and search. Yeah.
Outside of, you talked about this. Let me get to know what people are saying in
about
other social
this,
media, in TikTok. Let me go and search this
on
in
TikTok as well. So we must have our platform in TikTok as well.
Let me go and see what my administrative officer thinks about this.
Yeah.
Let me go and see what my religious leaders think about this.
Okay, and religious leaders as well. Okay.
So you must have a multi-facet approach that is going to have the buying in of many key opinion shapers.
So it's a lot of community engagement. It's not just at a personal level as well.
No, some decision-making processes there are those who make decisions by themselves. They are adult of sound mind and they know what is good. Upfront, they can take it and say that this is what I want to do. I know the benefits. It makes sense to me. I have been aware enough to know that I'm going to benefit. But those who don't find awareness something, they need to be told by politicians that this is good. If politicians say that this is something that they listen there in that space a lot, they don't know how to separate what is right, what is wrong, what is potentially beneficial. If it is tainted by any chance by any opinion shaper,
can break the system already.
Yeah, there's rejection.
Wow, what a mouthful. So you talk about education, you talk about trust, you talk about what we call like sort of informed consent, like awareness, understanding, being patient.
Opinion shapers. All this, it is, you're dealing with categories of people. So all of them needs a different approach.
Perceptions,
misconceptions myths that are there.
Community.
Yes. Just to have a
key
strong
opinion leaders in the community, leadership of the community. Yeah, but what I like, though you explain all that, we have these cases like malaria research that we've done that we can use to communicate the message. You know, because I mean, we need to show that these challenges of health are also our challenges and we cannot escape them, you know, and we have to partake into bringing in the solutions. Anything that you like, maybe you also have some questions. You know, I've been asking you questions, and this is not supposed to be an interview in that manner. Please, maybe ask me something as well.
I know. You've been very much interested because malaria is a success. We can use it, and you can tell me how you think this. I know probably most of that trials wasn't at center of southern part of this continent of Africa. It was an East Africa and maybe the West African game because that is where that affects much. What I know is that we will use those success that we learned and develop new scripts that we can use the community to buy into what we want. I don't know if now that you probably understand that, do you think that the malaria success can be used effectively to bring new products, diabetic products, other oncology solutions that maybe could be there to benefit patients? Would that be some? Because we know that there is success with these innovations. There is success with it. Can we translate that science and belief?
Definitely. I mean, Africa has been doing research in these infectious diseases like malaria. So for me, that maybe I will answer it from the perspective of those that wants to make decisions to do research in Africa, or maybe they don't know that Africa is capable of conducting research. If we can conduct research in this infectious diseases that are also highly, what is the word? As in like they compromising to the body. You can help me with the English there. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is like acute and also very dangerous. And when you look at diabetes, it's chronic and can be gradual.
Yeah.
You understand? So we were able to do research on something that needs to have worked within 5 days. And we needed to collect data, a lot of data, follow through, manage side effects during that time. I mean, diabetes, it's a chronic condition. And which we have been managing with treatments such as your common glucophage as an example for type 2 diabetes.
Right.
It's just that we're starting to see that just having those treatments sometimes is not sufficient, So if we have to explore other treatments on diabetes, we need to be included in those kind of research. And I would like to say that we're definitely capable. I always say, like, if we can do Ebola.
It's right.
I mean, we do Ebola research.
Yeah.
I mean, we have collaborators. They come here, we work with them, and we do the research in Ebola. There was a time when Ebola was contained. I mean, I know there's outbreaks then they one
and that success. I know when talk about Ebola, the first genomic typing of Ebola was done in South Africa.
Did you hear that?
We did it faster in Africa than anyone else in the rest of the world.
Maybe tell people what you mean genomics.
Okay, so when we didn't know what is affecting people, they were dying of example COVID.
Don't use COVID. COVID takes us to another discussion. They were dying of Ebola. We know Ebola. People were just dying because it's fast. And
then Ebola, when Ebola was just like, we contained COVID because we learned from Ebola.
Okay, yes.
All the African countries went out to support West African countries that were affected by Ebola. That is all the way from Nigeria, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia. They bore the biggest burden of that 2015-2016 outbreak.
Okay.
And the technical expertise, because the infrastructure there was bad. Everyone had left.
Okay.
The airports were closed.
Okay.
Partners had actually left for their safe spaces.
Yeah.
So Africa was left alone.
Oh, wow.
So we braved the moment through the funding that there was no known cure.
There was no known cure.
There was no known vaccine. There was no known drug.
Nothing.
There was no commercial kit available to test for Ebola.
To test, to even, yeah.
So
we didn't even have a name.
They just knew that there was something hemorrhagic that
is happening.
You bleed from all your openings and then you die after a few days because your electrolytes, you lost all your electrolytes in the body and then you drop dead. So that was when we got to the point where we realized that we have to now take on this disease, do preventive measures, apply implementation science, do quarantine,
tracking.
All these things.
Contact tracing.
Yes, contact tracing. Yes, you remember contact tracing. But you contact tracing a document that you can't, when you touch, every document has to be sanitized because transmission is very fast.
It's very fast for Ebola, even faster than COVID.
So I was among the first. I was actually the first person to do the tests that were being. It was an SOP that was developed by US Army.
Okay.
To do. I was using skimmed milk.
Okay.
To coat a plate.
Okay.
And do antibody testing.
Okay.
They were trying to do convalescent plasma transfusion, where a survivor of Ebola is doing a apheresis where they draw blood, you get plasma, you intercept it to make it safe for pathogen, and then you keep it in the biobanks. So when someone gets sick, you use the immune cells, the antigen in the antibodies that the body produced to protect this person, because that was the simplest science innovation that could work.
Wow. Okay.
And it was not easy to identify these people. You had to now do the test, do ELISA, see who gives you the highest antibodies.
Wow.
That can benefit patients. So electricity was a challenge. There were so many things that were challenging, but we were able to contain things, brave the moment, learn that if we stopped greeting one another, if we stopped going to funerals, if we stopped, and then, it was only those special people, prevention officers who could bury people, who lost families. But but it was done in a way that we contained it. So when we had it, and 7 years later on, when we were met with this COVID. 2020 incident, it was easy for African countries to brave the moment and know that there are things we can stop.
Yeah, because
we can easily
gone through
stop
Ebola already.
We can sanitize. We can wash our hands.
And maybe that's maybe why maybe many of the African countries were not very much affected.
And for infectious disease surveillance, we are way better than the rest of the world
because we've been living
with Lassa fever, Ebola.
Yeah. Okay.
And now genotyping anything around COVID was not difficult for us. Those are techniques,
because
specialties.
That's what people do. Okay. Yeah. Yonnie, there's just a lot to talk about. You were asking me questions, but I ended up asking you questions.
Yes,
because you have so much knowledge in this, and I think it's very informative for our audience.
You remember when we last February what happened with the funding with the NIH, the USAID.
Yeah, when they stopped funding research. Just say USAID. Everyone
the same way in 2016 when everyone took off and left us with no one.
With the Ebola,
Yeah, when COVID came in, we were left alone.
No vaccines.
Yeah, now but 4 years later on.
Did we need the vaccine? Because most people on the ground, me, I represent the people on the ground. They're like, no, we didn't need the vaccine. They say they didn't need the COVID vaccine. And I have friends that they didn't take it. I went back shot after shot.
How many shots? I got 3.
You got 3?
I got 3 to just make sure
I had to travel.
I had to show my people that I believe in
You believe in that science that we do.
How did you were a scientist? How can you now shun vaccine?
You had to live by example.
You want to live by example.
So you had to take the vaccine. What is your take on COVID? Because I think COVID is a story that everybody knows. It's the science that we can be able to talk about that everyone can relate to because we live through the moment.
It happened so quick to us. It affected everyone. It was not a geographical confinement, but I think we had the least casualties overall by geography. If you look at that, I think what we learned is that if we can develop the vaccine much faster, in 18 months we had a product fit for market.
Yeah.
So,
but people tend to think that if you do it fast, it means you're compromising. Because people if it was this fast, how do you know if there's no long-term side effects?
If I walk alone, if I walk with you, I'll go far. If I walk alone,
or maybe because so many people can't. I get you.
AstraZeneca collaborating with another US Oxford University. Johnson & Johnson collaborating with someone else. So the IPs could, and then they made everything open source in a sense that if you open source things, everyone can play.
Even the approvals from the different regulator, they was happening within 5 days. Now we're back to waiting for 3 months, 60 to 90 days to get approval for a diabetes study, But and then this, are you excited about this new PrEP? Because everybody's talking about it. I just want to end by saying, are you excited about this PrEP?
I was part of that clinical trial.
You were part of that clinical trial?
Yeah, for all the way from discordant couples. The target were discordant couples.
Yeah.
When they were developing the R&D side of things.
Okay.
And then, how do we minimize infection? But now with these injectable ones, you get so it's slow releasing dosage, injecting below subcutaneously. So you don't. Actually, it's for those who are negative, so that they cannot contract as much as they might get.
Other STIs.
So they might high risk. They might just engage in high risk things. High risk encounter. But again, you must. There are ground rules. You must go for a test to just be eligible to receive it.
Yeah.
But I'll go back. I wanted to ask you something, Vicky, and this is something that you'd. How do you, now that we had this top of the global fund that was coming into Africa, what are some of the things that you think Africa can do to attract more capital investments so that we can continue to rely on ourselves?
Yesterday there was an advisor to the Minister of Health.
Yeah.
And she said that we, as African, we must come up with our own solutions. Our government must invest in research. It's very important. She also mentioned something that as much as we have the normal service that we must deliver to our people, which is general health care, we cannot let research fall behind. And she said African governments are investing less than 1% of their GDP into research. They're not even investing what they committed to invest when it comes to healthcare. They're supposed to invest about 15%, but many countries are falling behind. So African governments, let's cut the corruption. in South Africa recently, there was a 2 billion spent in cars and stuff stolen from multiple areas. If that 2 billion was given to replace the funding, so please, USA, if you consider funding us again, don't take this negatively. We're dealing with it. We have commissions happening. But all I'm saying is that the government, there's no other solution. The government, and if you look at the investment that we're getting from the USAID and all those it comes from philanthropists, businessmen in those areas. Where are the businessmen? Hi, Patrice. Where are the businessmen in Africa? How much are they putting into research? Maybe we need to create those processes. The banks in Africa that are taking our money every day, can they put in money into research? Can we create an African-funded research? I think there are other companies that are putting in money, but we can invest in ourselves. From that tax, 15% that they take from us, can they put 1% of it into research? Because we don't want to be caught up again. We want to... research help us to be proactive. We need to know before things happen. We don't need to be reactive. We need to know. We need to prepare. There's climate change now. What we don't even know what climate change will do to us. Look at how it's raining in South Africa. We don't even understand whether it's winter, summer, autumn, spring. It's every day things are changing. So there's new conditions that are going to be brought in by climate change. We need to be investing into that. But there's already a lot of investment. I know in South Africa with the MRC, they came in, they raised funds, and they are funding some of the research that was already underway from the cut. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I'm happy that because capital is one of the biggest. Capital is one of the biggest arrangement that we need. We need to have capital flow. We need to have our people investing in the biosecurity, biosafety of our population. We cannot outsource that.
No, we can't.
We cannot outsource the health of our populations. We need to see that our governments are doing enough, our philanthropists, our investment groups. Unfortunately, I'll tell you this, that we don't hold a big portfolio of global capital that can influence the funds and the critical. But unfortunately, capital also tend to follow a certain color. Yeah. You can... But that should not be our limitation. Our government should do much more to actually solve the problems of our families. There are families that we need to take care of as healthcare professionals. If you look at investment into your insurance, the same as investment into healthcare and research development, because we need to keep up with the new keywords, new innovations. How do we bring that in our directions intentionally so that at least by the time we get to the next level of innovation, we are doing what the global market is doing.
That is doing,
We don't want to be getting products outside only. We can start thinking that we can believe in our own researchers, we can believe in our own innovation. And again, AI has given us that platform, a foundation for us to start building things afresh. Yes.
And innovation, and to those innovators, yesterday we had a bit of a discussion about we need to also stop doing research for publication. We need to understand. I thought about myself when I was doing my master's. I only did it to graduate. I never thought about it at this level, that it can be an innovation. I could come up with a solution, and that can I take it up into the market. So there's the funding aspect of it. There's us being innovative because we want to fund our own developments. We want to find our own medical devices. We want to find our own medicines developments,
vaccines.
If you think about the time, maybe, because we're running a bit out of time, the time when during COVID in Madagascar, there were people saying there is some treatment that people are taking and it's working and stuff like that. What happened to it? Can we here? We have research sites. We're ready to test it. You understand?
That is going on in Senegal as well.
It is going on in Senegal. They're testing it.
They are making their own. They believe they are fronting their own internal pharmacology products.
But they're doing it. They're testing it
to go to the market, and they're bringing up in scientific discussion. So they're willing to brave and charter the uncharted waters. Sometimes.
We have to do that because we have a lot, and most of these products come from plants, and we have so much bioavailability of those different kind of plants.
Right. They're all in Africa.
Yeah, they're all in Africa.
Yeah. It's the synthetic part is what is outside, but in IP form and stuff.
You know. So Yonnie, it's been a great conversation. Thank you for visiting South Africa, and thank you for being a champion, for speaking for Africa in everything that you do. And actually for staying in, because it's such a challenging environment that we're in, but we continue to work hard. Do you have any parting shots? Do you want to say something to the audience, maybe the people in Kenya or the whole of Africa and the world?
No, I welcome you to the Biggest channel here. It's where the live discussion goes on. She's very passionate about this, and I believe that we can continue this discussion outside. Even if I'm not in Africa, we want to continue to have an Africa conversation, because our biggest problem is we rarely talk about our stories.
Yes, we must tell our stories.
No one talks about what good that we're doing. We're doing amazing, incredibly amazing stuff that the rest of us need to know about, and we start talking them out in such discussions so that we become the people who can actually take the next generation of healthcare professional and believers and healthcare new career developers believe in what they can also take in this space. Happy about this. Thank you very much for the privilege.
Thank you very much. This was very insightful. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate your time. And then you travel safely back to Kenya. And then we'll meet next year. I think the TCIS will be in Lagos, and I'm going to Lagos.
Yeah, we'll see you in Lagos. Before that time, between now and that time, I know we'll be shaping a lot of how that's going to work out. Thank you for all the effort that you did putting up this successful conference and organizing the teams to visit and actually interact with the live experience in South Africa. That was credible. Thank you, all our viewers. We really appreciate your time to listen to what our discussion is. Please don't forget to subscribe and continue this discussion and share with your network as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.